Hi, welcome. Simon here, and I hope you're doing well. In this video, I'll be doing a teardown, a disassemble on this MSI gaming laptop, as well as I'll walk you through how to apply new thermal paste on the CPU and the graphics card as well. The reason because I wanted to do this video here, I made a separate video that I was running a benchmark test to stress test the graphics card and the CPU. I noticed that the top right corner here where the exhaust fan is, so it was blowing the hot air and the fan is running on a very high speed, so the fan spin too fast and I can hear this buzzing noise coming off from the CPU fan. So while I'll be doing the teardown, at the same time I will like to apply the new thermal paste, and I want to show it to you step by step on how to do that. So first, let me introduce you the model number. If you turn your laptop around in the back here on the top left corner, you can see that the model says MS17G3. So this is a 17-inch MSI gaming laptop. So the first thing I like to do is to get myself a Phillips screwdriver. I'll be using the electric screwdriver here and removing all the screws. So go ahead and remove all the screws here in the back cover. It looks like there's one more screw on the bottom right. There's a factory seal, so we need to break that factory seal, and let's get to the screw. All right, so that's the final screw, and let's go ahead and pry it open. So I'll be using the metal prying tool. This is quite thin. Try not to stick all the way in. The point is not to damage the internal part, but to separate the back cover. So I like to use the thin one so that I can stick it in, and while that thing is somewhat open, I'll be using the plastic prying tool so that I'm not scratching the laptop. Right, you do not want to scratch the laptop and make it like, you know, a dent to it. So once you have that removed, let's see, we should be able to remove now. Okay, so the entire back cover just popped right out, and here you can see that the fan, this is the left side, because if you turn it around here, that would be the left side of the fan. If you turn it back here, that would be the right side of the fan that I was complaining about, right? So the fan looks clean to me, but what I'll do is I'll get the Aiken duster and go ahead and spray and Aiken dust out the some of the dust. And here you can see is the battery. The battery is quite big. Let's go ahead and disconnect the adapter. So slide the adapter down, and that's how you disconnect. So slide it down towards yourself, and let's go ahead and remove some of the screws. There's one more screw on the top right corner. Once you remove that, we can easily remove the battery. Now, if you take a closer look here, the battery is all flat and nice. There's no lump or bump on the battery, so meaning that the health of the battery is still great. And if your battery is not holding the charge, or if you see the battery has swollen or lump on it, then that means you need to have a battery replacement. Now if you want to change the battery, let's go ahead and take a model here. It's BTY-M6L. So that is the model number of the battery, and I'll try to link them in the description below, where you can buy them from either Amazon or eBay. Are usually where I get all the parts coming in from. All right, so let's move on to the next step here. I'd like to introduce you the M.2 solid state drive. So this is the one that hosts all your Windows, your data, your programs, your games, your settings. Everything is held down to on this hard drive right here, which is the M.2 solid state drive. Now, if your drive is too small and you need a higher capacity, maybe up to 2 terabyte, 3 terabyte, things like that, I made a separate video where you can go ahead and buy yourself the USB adapter right here. So this is the USB adapter where you can insert, let's just assume this is a 2 terabyte hard drive, the M.2 drive. You can just insert right here and go ahead, you can clone it. So meaning that while this original drive is still installed in your laptop, you can plug this adapter here to your USB port on the side, and you run a software called Acronis and use the Acronis to clone everything over from this hard drive here, the original one, over to your larger drive, which is like the 2 terabyte or 1 terabyte, your choice, right? So I just wanted to share with you, you can buy the tools and the hard drive again in the link description below. I usually got it from Amazon on this purpose. Now, one thing I like to point out to you that the computer here can go with 2 M.2 drives. So if this is your original drive, and if you decided not to clone the drive and you want to add additional drive, you can do by inserting the secondary M.2 drive. So you would have one C drive and one D drive. Okay, so enough of that. Let's move on to the next process. Here is your touchpad connector. Let's go ahead and flip the clipper up and slide the connector down. The cable down. So open up the clipper and slide the cable. Here's your keyboard. Flip the clipper up, slide the keyboard down towards you. I'm not sure what this is. More likely is the something to do with the motherboard stuff. This one is more likely the lighting, maybe. Anyway, it's not important. We need to disconnect the cable in order to get to the motherboard. And here on the very top, you can see there's one more clipper here. Flip it up, but this cable is slide away from your body, so slide to that direction. More likely that is the power button. Okay, let's see what else do we have here. I need to probably, do I need to remove this? So this is the speaker connector. Slide the connector down towards your body. The speaker for your left and right is held down by this connector, and they are kind of run along the bottom of the line underneath the motherboard and goes to the left of the speaker here. So I like to see if I can just remove. It doesn't seem like that easy, huh? All right, so sorry, I'm talking out loud to myself. Open up the clipper, slide the LCD cable right here. Let's put this on the side. Okay, so that is your LCD. I want to get to the motherboard. This is probably the webcam for the LCD, so slide the connector away from your body, go that direction. There's no connector or the clipper that holds onto it. I think that's pretty much it. Let's see what else can we do. That is the Wi-Fi. So let's go ahead and remember there's a red marker here, which is for the bottom, and then the one without the marker goes to the top for the black. Okay. Let's see. Let's try removing this screw here. I don't think it's that simple. By removing the 2 screws, the entire motherboard will just come out. That is way too simple. If that's really the case, it will be awesome. I dropped the screw. So that bracket is to hold down to your charging port. All right. Wow, really? There's only 2 screws. Honestly. So that 2 screws are removed, the 2 black ones, one on the top, left here, the other one is on this side, and that the entire motherboard just comes straight out. That was easy. Oh, so this is easy tear down, not hard at all. Now, all right. So before I continue, I'd like to point out to you the keyboard is not replaceable. As you can see that the keyboard, these are the punched down by the manufacturer, meaning that the plastic is punched down, it's not screwed down, screw onto the keyboard. So if you spill water on the keyboard or your keyboard is damaged, I'm sorry, you have no other choice but to replace the entire palm rest, meaning that you would have to replace the entire part of this altogether. All right, so you have to replace all of this at one go. And to remove that, you can just go ahead and remove the 2 screws to unlock the hinge. All right, and just gently lift it up. I just want to make sure I have 90 degrees so that I can just pop right out the keyboard here. So here, if you flip it around and take a look at it, so if you spill stuff on a keyboard or if your keyboard is damaged, I'm sorry, but you just have to replace the entire touchpad, the keyboard, the palm rest all together in one big piece like this. All right, so that is the replacement part for you. And for the screen, so if the screen is broken, that's one way to replace the entire screen. All right, that is enough being said. Let's go ahead and close it down. Moving the laptop here on the side because I just wanted to show you the motherboard here. So this is the entire motherboard, CPU, heatsink, graphics card, the fan, all together in one big piece like that. And let me kind of quickly walk you through. If you have a broken DC jack, this is the DC jack connector. You can just replace the connector itself. You don't have to do the soldering on the DC jack. So you just have to replace the DC jack if that thing is broken. Now this is the RAM, DDR4 RAM. To remove it, you just have to push the both of the clipper on away from each other, push it away from each other, and the DDR4 RAM will just pop right out. Okay, so this is a 16 gigs of it. I believe you can add 32 up to 64 gigs of RAM. All right, I think 32 is enough. You don't have to go to 64, but you know, for your reason of the purpose, you can add up to 64. All right, so I like to go ahead and remove and disconnect the CPU fan and the heatsink, apply the new thermal paste on it. So let's go ahead and slide the connector to my right. That's how I disconnect one of the fan. Slide this connector away from me, meaning that direction to disconnect that. And here is the right fan. Let me slide the connector to my left. All right, so that's how I disconnect the fan. Let's go ahead and start unscrew the heatsink. All right, what I need to do, be gentle and apply enough pressure, not to force it out, but just enough pressure to separate the thermal pads. So what is being sticky right now is the thermal pads. All right, so the thermal pad is sticking the heatsink together. We need to separate that thermal pad. First, I'm just going to slightly go underneath, try to pry it open. Maybe the nope, I don't think so. So these are what I call the thermal pads, and the thermal pads is holding down the motherboard, and I'm just slightly, you know, pushing them away. You do not want to bend the heatsink. The heatsink has liquid running through the copper line. So on the copper heatsink, there's a liquid running through that copper pipe. So try not to bend or break the copper. And if you by accidentally did it, then you would just have to replace the whole thing. Okay, so I'm just pushing and pushing gently, slowly. I'm pretty much letting the thermal pad to separate itself. So if I put enough pressure on one side, it was starting to separate itself. All right, so there you go. The entire heatsink just popped right out. Here you can see that the thermal pad is, let me fix this up a little bit. And they went and stick together. Okay, and here we go. Let's go ahead and get yourself the alcohol wipes. We'll be using the wipe to remove the thermal paste. The thermal paste is all dried up. So this is the NVIDIA, and I'll show it to you just in about a minute. Let me clean this thing up. So once you clean out the graphics card and CPU, let's go ahead and clean the heatsink. So this runs on the alcohol. It gets dries pretty fast. So we are all done with that. And let me lift up the motherboard and show you it says NVIDIA, right? So that is the graphics card, and this is the Intel CPU processor. Okay, and I'll be applying with the new thermal paste, the thermal compound. Let me try to get stuck. On the camera, you might see I'm applying a lot, but actually it's not. I just do a little bit, but I'm spreading it around. So you want to have a good cover all around that metal plate here, right? So not a lot. I mean, be generous. Do not just put a little bit, but the point is to spread it around so it can evenly be covered when I press down the heatsink later on, when we put the screws back on, so that it can push the thermal paste all around that shiny plate. All right, so that should do. And let me get the A-can duster. So you can buy one of these A-can duster here, and what I like to do is just blow some dust away from the fan. So if you have time, you can come and clean out the fan, but I'm just going to use the A-can duster and blow it off. And now let's reapply back together, right? So let's go ahead and make sure I have them aligned in the right position like this. I can see that the screw mounting bracket are all in the right position. And let's go ahead and put the screws back in. I like to put halfway through tightening up the screw, because if you tighten on one corner, you may push all the thermal paste to the right side of it, right? If you tighten up one corner all the way, you push it down and the paste squeeze it over on the other side. So if you if you tighten the screw halfway through it, you're putting pressure evenly and push it down straight down. It's not going to be straight down all the way, but at least you get my point. All right, so there you have it. And again, I did not change the thermal pads. They do sell thermal pads on the internet, Amazon. You can go ahead and get yourself that thermal pad and reapply, change out the new thermal pad. But I don't think thermal pad actually dries up. It looks quite oily and sticky, so I leave it as is. But if you feel like changing out your thermal pads, you can go ahead and do so. But I think the thermal paste is the key component here, because the paste can dry it up, and when it dry, it doesn't conduct the heat. So changing the thermal paste is much of a better option if you ask me. All right, now here is the laptop. We can put it all back together. So make sure the Wi-Fi little antenna here is sticking above the motherboard, and I like to slide the motherboard in first. So slide it in to your right of the laptop. Okay, come on, I'm just gonna make sure I have room to find the Wi-Fi later on. Okay, make sure all the wires are above. So I like to pay attention to the microphone jack. So make sure it's slide in. Wi-Fi, where are you? Where's the second Wi-Fi go? Okay, it's all slide in. The cable is up. Keyboard cable up. Touchpad up. Something here goes up. Make sure this cable right here for your webcam cable is up as well. It's up, and do not forget this cable here, the power button cable. All right, so that's very well. That's pretty much it. And this bracket here, I'm gonna slide it back in. Hopefully it slide back in. Right, almost have it. Okay, it's in. Remember to put the screws back in. And then the 2 screws for the motherboard is very straightforward. There's only one here, I believe. Right, there's one here. And I believe the second one is here. Okay, now this is your Wi-Fi antenna. Remember the red marker goes to the bottom. So let's go back in together. You just have to make sure you align them in the right position and then push it in. So the Wi-Fi antenna has 1 screw on it. Sorry, the Wi-Fi card. Put that screw in. Align the Wi-Fi antenna here, that cable, and push it down. It doesn't take a lot of pressure to close it in. You just have to make sure you align them in the right position. Make sure that the circle are aligned with the cable, and you just press it. It would go back in very easily. No pressure. Do not force the cable back in. Make sure the clipper is open. Slide the your LCD cable. Slide it in. And then close it. And use the and just close it. Okay, let's connect the power button, keyboard, so make sure the clipper is open where the flex cable can slide back in. Push it all the way in. When you close the clipper, you should see that little black line align with that clipper that clips back together, right? So it's pretty straightforward. You just have to be patient and get yourself, you know, not stressed. I'm stressing out right now. It's not going back in. Okay, there you go. Close it in. Okay, let me get the M.2 inserted back in and get the screws. Get the screw and screw it back in here. Get the battery. Let's connect the cable by pushing it back into the motherboard. Okay, so that's pretty much it. We have everything inserted, connected, all the fans are connected, right? So that is good. And last but not least, let's reconnect the back plate. So make sure it's clip on from the top here. So everything is clipped. Push it back and press it all around the. Okay, so we put the screws all back together. And that's pretty much it. Let's see. If you find the video is helpful and please, oops, let's see what's going on. I might have to readjust some of the cable here. I think it's sticking out on that side, but I'm not going to bore you with my self repair right here. I feel like there's something is popping out. It's kind of not flat on this side. I'm just going to readjust it in a minute. But yeah, I like to do the closing here and by saying thank you for watching the video. And if you find the video is helpful, please go ahead and give me a like. If you have any question regarding about your repair, comment below. I read the comment and I'll try to reply you back in a promptly manner. And other than that, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Haven't liked it, please like it. Click the notification bell. And I hope you learned something today. Thanks for watching. And oh yeah, there's one video here on the left corner. I'll be posting the benchmark result test. Go ahead and click on that and you get to see it. Thanks for watching. Bye now.